Welcome back to a new video, and on this occasion is the Roland J-6. Everything on this guide is in chapters. If you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. If you like all of this, please like and subscribe, and this channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links at the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon. Alright, so how this works is by using patterns, sounds, chords, and progressions. When you turn it on, right here you have the chord on and the variation on. I'm going to turn them off. First, we're going to talk about sounds, and then we're going to talk about patterns. So I'm going to go to the sounds right here. Now, when sounds is on, whatever you play right here will play a patch, a preset. So you don't need to, play chords. We're going to talk about this in a minute. So since this is not a synthesizer, what you can do when you have the sound on, you can navigate through all with the value knob through all the different patches that you get. I'm going to go all the way down to 1-1, and that's going to be a pattern. If I go to, a patch. If I go to the next one, of course, is going to be a different sound. You can, if you want to, go right here when sound is on and just, tap that one, and it's going to be bank 1, patch number 7. You can go to the other banks by just using the value, but if you press and hold the sound, you have 8 banks, 8 presets each. I can go to the bank number 8, just go release it, and then go to the preset 1 of the bank number 8. And that's going to be, of course, a different sound. In this case, I'm just going to be going to the 1, and then I'm going to go to the number 1. So this is one side of this. It's going to be the sounds. Then I'm going to just go out, and I'm going to go to the patterns. If I enter into the patterns, I can, play something. And notice that we have the same patch I selected previously when on sound. Now, if I go to patterns, I'm not really playing the pattern. And this works just like this sounds. You have 8 different banks with 8 different slots each. So if I'm standing on bank 1 and patch number 1, if I play it back, this of course will play a sequence, a pattern, with whatever, it was recorded from factory. So if I stop it and use the scroll when pattern is on, I'm going to be navigating through all the different banks and patterns. Notice that you do have a lot. And from factory, all the other presets, the patterns are just empty. You only get the first 2 banks. So if I'm going right there to the bank 2 preset pattern number 3, and I play it, it's going to be a different preset. If I wanted to, I can just tap this, and it's going to cue in the next pattern after this is done. And again, if I maybe go to bank number 1 and navigate through with value, it's just going to just play whatever pattern you select. And notice that the pattern, the sequence is completely different, but also the sound changes. So when you are playing a pattern, you can go to sound and just choose a different sound, and it will play with whatever pattern that you selected. I guess, it makes sense. Alright, so that's, how it works. Now, if I go to sound and just maybe stay on that one, you can only, again, change the preset. You don't have a lot of things that you can change, but you can change the filter, which in this case is going to be this one, and you can change the envelope. We're going to make it longer, we're going to make it just short. On top of that, you have the delay. If I play something and go up on the delay, it's going to be how, it's going to just send. It's a delay send. Gonna do less, and when I play, it's just, not a lot. Same thing with the reverb. If I go up, it's gonna send a lot more. Now, right now, I'm just deciding how much I want to send to the delay or to the reverb, but you can do shift and go to delay, and this will affect, the delay time in the case of the delay. I'm gonna go to, just 8 dotted. And now we have that 8 dotted. Same thing with the reverb, but in this one, it's going to be the delay time. The reverb time, which is going to be, super long. And if I go down to nothing and I play it back, is super short. And again, all of this is just completely up to you. Another thing that you can do when you are using the keys and you're using a sound, when you hold the shift, you have a lot of options right here. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But if you go to the octave, you can transpose the keyboard up or you can transpose it down. If you want to go back to the center, just press both at the same time. And then you're back to 0 or center. Okay, so this is one part of the deal, just selecting a sound, a preset, just changing the values, and then, selecting a pattern. This is one part of the deal. Where this unit really shines is when you use the chords and the set lists, phrases, and all the options that you have on this section. Okay, so when the chord, this button, it's not enabled, when it's not red, we can use the keys, the keyboard, to play, different sounds. And then if you wanted to, we can change the preset and play something else. So if you want to use this device just to do this, just to maybe send MIDI data or use the keyboard to do something, you can do so. If you wanted to make a chord, you can. Now, of course, these ones are not keys or pads, so maybe playing chords, it's just not that easy, but you can do it. Now, the main point of this is that you don't need to do this. Whenever you enable the chord, you can play chords. Now, if I play this, it's going to play a chord. And that's how it works. It's just a pretty sweet device. Now, the question is, since the chord is enabled, how do I know which chords am I playing back? Well, you have two ways. You can do it by ear, just listen to whatever is going on and figure it out. Or in this case, I'm using a scaler. This is going through my DAW through USB, and I'm catching whatever MIDI this device is outputting. So if you take a look at the screen, every time I play a key, it's outputting the chords or whatever this is doing. So you can use it like this. But if you're not using maybe scaler or a DAW, you have a different way, and everything is going to be in the manual. If you go to the manual, you have a section that says chord set list. And right here, notice that it gives you the combination of whatever it is that you're doing. You have the keys right there at the top and whatever chord this is spitting out when you play that key. So in the case of whatever we are doing right now, if I play this, well, it should be C at 9 and so on and so on and so on. But then notice that you have an exception right here, and it's going to be the genre. If you go to pop or jazz or whatever, you have different notes, different combinations. So when you have the manual around and you select a type right here, or genre, you can go to the manual again and just check whatever is going on with your keys. Now, to choose a set list, you need to go to Shift. You don't need to have the sound on. And whenever all of this is off and you see the tempo right here, this is like the main screen of the device. Now, to choose a set list, I'm going to go right here, hold the Shift, and then go and press a chord. So whenever you go there, both are blinking, and now you have something else right here. It says P and so on and so on. So right now we are on the first one, which was that pop variation. If I play this, notice that we have the C at 9, and so on and so on and so on. If you want to change it, you can move the value encoder, and audition the set list, and you have a crazy amount of set list. You have 100. If you think about this, it's a lot. Let me go to the number. I'm going to go back to the number 1. And they are all very musical. And again, you have 100, so it's a lot. The question is, how can you change the key? By default, they all start on C. I'm going to press chord to get out. When you go to Shift, you can go to the one that says key. If I press it, it will go right here, and notice that now you have exit. On some menus, you need to do enter to accept the changes, and then to exit the menu, you need to press exit. In the case of key, when you go there, 0 means C. It will always start on Z. But now, if I go to 2 and I do exit, go back to the beginning, when I play a chord, it is starting a D. I have a D at 9. So that's how you change the key of the set list. If you want to hold a chord, just press hold and just play it, and it will hold it for you. And of course, all of this depends on whatever sound that you're using. If it's a different sound, you know what? I'm gonna go to the first one and go up on the envelope. This is gonna make it super long. So if I press hold, it's gonna sustain it. And you can play this live. You don't even need to use the patterns that we're gonna use in a minute. Alright, so let me just turn off the hold. Right, so this is how it works, right? You have your sounds, your patterns. When you go to chord, you do shift and then chord to choose a set list, and then you just make some funky music. But then you have the phrases, which is this section that we have right here at the top. So the phrases are just variations of whatever it is that you're doing right now in terms of the chord or the set list. So to use it, you need to just turn it on. And once you turn it on, the style and the variation will decide what it can do. I'm going to go all the way down and all the way down. So we are on 1-1. If I play it, now instead of playing a chord, it's going to do something else. And again, remember to turn it off. You go back to just a simple chord, but if you turn it on, it will do a variation. Okay, so then you have the style. If I change the style, it's going to do something else. If I go to the third, it's on the style number 3, which is going to be maybe a combination of just the chord, I guess. There you go. If I go to 4, just plays it on a different way. Right, and if I maybe go to the 9, which is the last, you have something completely different. Now, if I go back to 1, we have that arpeggio, and this is the 1. Then the variation is going to be just a variation of the same style that you selected. In this case, is 1-3. It's a different type of arpeggio. I guess it's going down instead of just up, and you have up to 12. Different combinations within the same style, or different variations within the same style, and all of them are just completely different. If I maybe go to 6 and 7, that's the variation. Now, what is the point of having all of this? So when you create a pattern sequence, you can maybe record the step number 1, let's say, with a chord in a very specific variation. Then when you move on to the step number 2, you can have maybe no variation, no style, or maybe you have a completely different style and variation. And this is how you create your patterns. And this is where, again, this device really shines. Now, sometimes when you're doing something, you move this control to change it. Maybe you just don't want to change it, right? Maybe you just want to know which style and variation you have, but you cannot, because when you move some of these controls, you change the values, and maybe you don't want to do this. If you hold the shift and you move the style, notice that it's not changing the style and the variation. So this will kind of let you know what you have on style and what you have on variation. So right now what we need to do, we need to learn how to create a sequence, and you have 2 ways to do that. Okay, to create a pattern first, maybe I'm going to be selecting the sound 1-1, right? And I'm going to go to pattern, and with this we need to navigate to a place where we have an empty pattern, and right here, the 3-1, it's going to be empty. So if I go out of pattern and I play it back, it will play back the pattern, but we have no information. We need to add something. So you have 8 different steps. And if you're thinking, oh, all right, so this is an 8-step sequencer. No, it's a 64 steps sequencer, which is, pretty powerful. Now, to add a step, you can do it live, or you can do it step by step, like, your usual step recording. And this is, I guess, the best way to do so, to do it on this device. So I'm going to maybe right now just turn everything off, and I'm going to go to the step number 1. And notice it says step number 1, and this blinks. So now, since this is blinking, it's listening for us to enter some notes, and we don't even need to do the chords or variations. I just can add a single lonely note. And then when you want to go to the step number 2, then, I go there and I add a different note, and so on and on and on. And I'm going to do something simple and fast right here. I'm going to go there and go there. So once you're done, and you have 8 steps in this case, I'm going to do play. And this is just going to play back whatever sequence. And notice it's just super slow. And that's fine. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Now, when you're not playing back, if you want to edit whatever it is that you did, you can just tap on this tab and then just, add or edit the notes manually. And if I do something like that, and it doesn't matter again, I'm just, adding things. It's just step number 1, the 2, and now the 3. Cool. So that's how pretty much you edit the steps. So right now you are on a step-by-step edit. If you want to get out of this of here and go back to the main screen, you can just tap the one that it's blinking and it's going to take you back to the main screen. Or, you can do shift, hold the shift and then do exit, and it will go back again to the main screen. When you're back on the main screen, and I'm going to be playing this, right here you can see the BPM. So this is the tempo. This is where you change it. I'm going to do 120. It's still, you can see that it's super slow. And it's super slow because the main idea of this device is that you play chords and then variations, and they are just very long. So each of these steps, they will last, a long time by default. Every step, it's 4 bars. I'm sorry, it's 1 bar. So that's why it's super long. Now it's playing 1 bar, then going to the second bar, and so on and so on. So how can you change this, or can you change this? Yes, you can. You need to go right here to the pattern. You need to press and hold and then move the encoder. And the encoder will give you from all the way up from to 8, all the way down to 4. This is the default option. And then as you go down, you have all of this. So, okay, let's just go back. If I select 4, is going to be that's the default value. It's 4 beats, 1 bar. If I go up, I'm going to go stop it. I go up to 8. Well, it's going to be just super long because it's 8 pairs. It's pretty much 2 bars each step. But if you want to use it like maybe default step sequencer, you can go to 1/4, and that's going to be 16 notes. Notice how fast it is now. And we are still doing 120. The thing is that we have a different rate now. It's a different division. All right. So let me go back to 4. But if you think about this, you can use this just a normal step sequencer. Add the steps and create a sequence without using the chord and the variations. Right? So it's just a very, very cool device. But, the soul of this synthesizer or this device is to use it with chords and the variation. So for now, just going to hold the pattern and I'm going to leave it on default, which is, again, 1 bar. I want to start over. I want to clear everything I did right here without, going to each of the steps and deleting the notes manually. So I'm going to just tap the blinking step. I'm back to the home screen, the main screen. I'm going to do shift, hold it, and at the bottom you say clear. Whenever you do this, it's going to clear the pattern and it will ask you pattern clear, yes, and no to exit. I'm going to say enter to confirm, and now if I play it back, it's just completely empty. Now, this will clear the pattern, but it will not reset the pattern back to default state. I'm going to show you how to do it in a minute. Let's create a new pattern, but using the chord and using the variations. I'm going to go to pattern number 1. So when you're standing on the 1, you need to select right here whatever it is that you want to do, and this will, just remember it. I'm going to go to the chord. In this case, I'm not going to do a variation, and I'm just going to be recording the number 1, right? Just right there. So I'm going to go to the number 2, and right here, I'm going to be doing something else. I'm still going to be doing the chord, but now I'm going to turn on this tile, and I'm going to be doing something like, I don't know, 4 and then 5. And now I'm going to be going to the step number 3, and then this one, then I'm going to do something like that, doesn't matter. And I'm going to go to the step number 3, and notice that the on is off. So I'm going to turn it back on for the step number 3. And just like this, you just create your sequence. I'm going to do 4/6 on the step number 2 was 4/5. Right here is 6. And I don't know, I'm going to do that one. I'm going to go to step number 4. I'm going to turn it on. The variation, I guess, I'm going to do, I don't know, 4/9, something like that. And I'm going to be adding a new note. So now, if I play it back, And then, it keeps moving forward because we have 8 steps, and right here it's completely empty. But when this is done, it's going to go back and loop to the first step. Makes sense. It's a step sequencer. All right, so that's how it works. You go step by step, you change your variations, your chords, and so on, and you create a nice little pattern. And okay, so right now, when I play it, it's going through the first one, and at the end of the 4, we have empty. So maybe what I want to do, I don't want an 8-step sequence. Maybe that's too long. So we can make it shorter. If I go to Shift and I go to the last right here, this one, I tap it and it will ask you to select how many steps do you want. You can do up to 64 steps. And if you think about this, since each step is a bar with the rate that we have selected right now, is 64 bars. So it's pretty long. In this case, I just wanted to do 4 so we can, just play this and go all the way down, and I'm gonna do just 4. Once you're done, you need to press exit and it will go back to the main screen. And if I play it back, we will have just, 4 steps or 4 bars in this case. And then it goes back. Cool. Okay, so I don't know if you're noticing what's going on. Right now, when I play it from the beginning, it's playing that lonely chord, doing no variation style. Then goes through the different styles, reaches the number 4, and then loops back. But now the number 1 is not that lonely chord. It's doing whatever we did last on the step number 4 in terms of style variation. So this is something you need to, take into account and be aware of. That when it repeats and loops back, if there's nothing, there's no information on the on, it's going to repeat whatever the last it's doing. All right, so if you remember, if I go Shift and go to last, we have a 4-step long type of pattern, and that's fine. I'm going to do Shift and I'm going to do clear to clear the pattern. And everything is just going to be off. We're going to remove whatever information. But if I go to Shift and I go to last, we still have 4. Like I said before, the only way to init a pattern is going to be from the menu. And this is something that you need to remember. Sometimes, depending on where you are, if I'm, for example, on a step and I do Shift and then I do something else, well, that something else is going to be around the step that we have right here. But if you do it from the main menu, you will have different options. Back on the main screen, if I do Shift now, and right here we have the menu. This is like the main menu of the device. One thing that, again, you need to know, if I'm standing on maybe on pattern edit, if I do Shift and go to menu, it will give you some options, but all of these options, they got to do with this step, not with the whole device. If I go out, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do Shift, and back when you're back on the main screen, now I'm back on the main screen, I'm going to do Shift and go to menu, and you have a lot of different options. We're going to talk about these options at the end. But there's one option right here that it's called in the init. And this, what it will do, it will just clear the whole pattern and just take it back to initial values. Create a default patch or default pattern. If I do done, just confirm it, it's going to exit. And now if I want to confirm, I go to last step, and by default is 8. So we are back to a default pattern. So, okay, I'm going to go to last, and I'm going to make it 24 steps long. And you're going to see why in a minute. I'm going to press exit just to get out. And of course, if I play something back, we have no information at all. I'm going to do pattern, I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to change the rate so it can go a little bit faster, like a normal step sequencer. And now, since we have 24 steps long, whenever I create a sequence, we can only see 8 steps per page. How can we see the other one? So first, I'm going to be adding some data to all the different steps very quickly so we can learn how this works. All right, there we go. So I enter eight different steps, and you can see right here, it's 8. How can I go to the next 8? When you are here, you can hold Shift, and right here on the chord sequencer is going to let you know on which page you are. Since you have 8 per page, it's 60. It's going to be 64 total. So if I want to go to the next 8, I just tap there, and now I'm on the next, 8 steps. And I know this is just going to take a little while, but but I just want to show you how this works. And if I go to the third and final page, again, I can just add whatever, and there we go. So I'm going to be playing this back, and I guess I messed this up. No, that's fine. It's because the tempo is super slow. Let me go faster. And right now, again, we are playing 24 steps. And if I hold the shift, it will let you know where you are, steady, light, and blinking is going to be where the sequence is, right now, or currently playing. If you want to change the page, maybe to page 1 to edit, you can go there and just, by tapping a step, you can edit whatever it is that you are doing. And one more thing, if you go to a step, if you're stopped and you hold the step and press play, it will start playback from that step on. If I, again, stop it again, I'm going to go to the 15. It will start playback from this one on, from the 15 and not the first one. And this, might be useful, maybe not right now because it's going super fast, but maybe, again, if you have a long, maybe 64 bars type of pattern, maybe just, starting playback from, I don't know, the page, the number 1 of the page 3, it's just very useful. Now I'm going to go back to the main screen. I'm going to do shift and I'm going to do clear just to clear the pattern. But remember that this doesn't clear the pattern. We still 24. So shift and then menu when we are on the main screen. We go to init, we do enter, and it's going to reset the preset back to default values. Now this is basically how we record a pattern on a step-by-step type of deal. Right? Just a step sequencer, but we have a lot more functions and we can record live. Okay, starting on a clean pattern, I'm going to show you a few additional functions that you get. So I'm going to go to step edit and maybe I'm going to be adding a chord with a variation. It doesn't matter. Just going to be adding something, simple. There we go. If I play it back, this is what we get and that's fine. Is the only lonely step. So when we are on step edit, what you can do, you do shift, you hold it, and then you go to the menu. When you go to the menu, you have different options. You have copy, you have paste, and then you have insert, and then Dupl, which is duplicate. If I go to copy, what it will do, it will copy whatever is that you did on that step. And I'm going to do so. I'm going to press enter, it's going to copy. So now what I want to do, maybe I want to paste it on a different place. I'm going to go to that step, hold shift, go to menu. I'm going to go to paste and just going to press enter to paste it. And if I get out, if I play it back, goes to the number 2 and we have pretty much the same thing, right? So that's how the copy pasting works. Back to a default pattern. I'm going to be maybe adding something right there. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep adding, and keep adding. You're going to see why in a second. If I play it, we get this back. It's just, the same. The same chord and variation. Now, you have the insert. So if I maybe go to the step number 4, we are there. We have more chords or information after the number 4. If I do shift and go back to menu, the next option is going to be insert. Now the insert, what we'll do, it will insert an empty step. It will not delete anything, but by inserting an empty step, it will move or shift everything forwards by one step. So if I I'm standing on the number 4, I'm going to confirm the insert. I'm going to do enter, and now it's going to say done. Now if I go here to the step number 1, notice that the number 4 is empty. We don't have any information. So what it did, again, created an empty step right there, but it just shifted everything forwards one single step. And right now we are playing nothing, and then we play next, the next step. So this is, a nice little way to edit a sequence maybe that you already have by inserting a new step, an empty step. I'm going to be going right here and I'm just going to add something dumb. It doesn't matter. If I play back and do shift, I'm going to go to last. We have 9 steps. Remember, by adding a step, we shifted everything one step up, right? But in this case, I want to have an 8 steps long type of sequence. And all right, so now that we have only 8 steps, I'm gonna go to the number 8. Doesn't matter. What you need to do is you need to do Shift and go to Menu. You have an option right here within the same menu, which is Duplicate. If you have 8 steps, this is what it will do. It will copy the 8 steps and just, duplicate it and make it 16. Whenever you want to duplicate, I'm going to be, you need to press Enter to confirm. Whenever it says done, I'm going to exit. And if I go to last, notice that we have 16. And if I, again, go to Shift, we have 2 different pages. And of course, if we play this back, it's just going to be the same, just twice, right? So this is how you can extend your pattern or your sequence by just pretty much copy pasting the pages. All right, so one more thing, I'm going to go to step number 1. If you do Shift and you do Clear, instead of wiping the whole pattern, it's just going to clear that step alone. Maybe I already, already show you this. I'm going to be editing this behind the scenes, but this is how you can, just remove steps without clearing the whole sequence. In this case, I'm going to be going out to the main screen, to the main menu. I'm going to do Shift and do Clear, and I'm going to clear the whole pattern, and I'm going to make it 8 steps long. So I'm pretty much going back to defaults. Now, when you enter a new note, what you can do, you can create a tie. So if I maybe add a note just there, I'm going to be holding it, right? And notice when I press hold and I'm there on step number 1, the number 2 lights up. And why it's doing that? So it's a tie. It's extending that note to, in this case, 2 bars or 2 steps. If I press it again, notice that it's going to do it to 3 and it's going to do it to 4. If the envelope is just super short, you're not going to be able to hear it. If I play it now, it's going to extend that chord throughout the 4 different bars. But here we just did 1 step. So again, this is just a tie. If you have a lonely, let me just go to Clear. I'm going to turn on the chord, just do a single chord so we can have a sustained chord. And I'm going to add that one. And now I'm going to be doing hold, hold, and hold. And if I play it, it's just going to be 1 single chord, 1 single very long chord. Just like in, a regular or a normal step sequencer, when you tie steps, well, this is how we do it. We can do it right here. Now, if you want to maybe remove that tie on the number 4, you just notice this one is on hold. You just tap it and you can remove the tie. Let me just adjust the envelopes because it's going to be way too bright. I'm going to go back to step number 1. We have no ties. When I play it, it's just going to be a single step and, and there we go. We have no more ties. Okay, now we need to talk about live recording. How can you do live? Well, of course, you have the rec. Once you play, you press the rec, the recording is on. It's not starting. As soon as you do play, it will start recording. It doesn't matter what I do, it's just going to start recording as soon as I play it. So you don't have a metronome, and that's a shame because it just makes it a little bit harder to record live. But you do have something else. We are on the main menu. I'm going to do Shift and I'm going to do Menu so we can go to the menu of the synthesizer or the device. And if you scroll and scroll, at some point you're going to find something that says CNT and then 1. Well, this is count in. If I enter here, right, by default is off. So you can decide how many count ins that you get. But since you have no click track or no metronome, it's a little bit different. This is how many times the play is going to blink before it starts recording, right? So it's pretty much 1 bar. So I'm going to say 4. As soon as I exit right here and go back to the main menu, now we can, of course, start recording. First, before you start recording, maybe you want to go to the first step and just, choose a set list or maybe a variation, because that's what you're going to be recording. Maybe in this case, let me just find something cool. All right, I kind of like that one. The 5 and the 12, that's fine. So I'm not recording anything. I'm going to get out of step recording. I'm going to do a rec. And now to record, remember, it's going to be play. It's going to blink 4 times, and then it's going to start recording. So notice it's super fast. As soon as I do play, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it starts recording. Just not very intuitive, but it's how it works. If you stop it, it goes back. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to be recording in 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and it's done. Now, as you could hear how I recorded everything live, it was like, crap. It sounded like crap, played like crap, because there is no click track. So it's a little bit, difficult to record live. Still, how this device works is that it knows that you want to record a chord, maybe with a variation. So when you play something, it will just shift and accommodate everything that you want to record into that very particular step. So if I play it back now, it's going to sound right there in the pocket. So it's going to adjust it for you, even if you do some crappy playing. Notice it sounds right there in the pocket. Sounds good. And it's because, again, this is just not a normal step sequencer. It's just a little bit different. And just to show you again, I'm going to go to Shift. I'm going to go to Menu, and I'm going to go to the Init. I'm going to do Enter, just everything back to the beginning. And I'm going to be doing the same thing. Maybe I'm going to be selecting a chord and a variation. It doesn't matter which variation. You know what? That's fine. So when I play it, it's going to be an arpeggio. So in order to play the arpeggio, I need to press and hold the key to get it, right? So, okay, so, you don't need to be on step edit, but you can just, do it without, outside of the step edit. But now I'm going to be doing the same thing. I want to record the 8 steps. I'm going to go to rec is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And this I'm just not holding the keys. So whenever it goes to the step I want, I'm going to be just tapping, and then it's going to record it. And that's fine. So now, of course, it was super crappy, and if I play it again, play the whole sequence, it's pretty good, right? Just, again, just handling or just kind of fixing all the errors and just creating a nice sequence that is just very musical. And it's inspiring, right? It's just created just a progression out of nothing. And I was just, fooling around. So yeah, I think with these devices, Roland, it's just doing a pretty good job. Now, if I play again this pattern, I know that this is the pattern we just created. What if I go to pattern and go to, the next one where we have, nothing. I play it back, and of course, we have nothing. If I wanted to go back to the pattern, go back, and this is playing back, notice that it remembers the pattern. Did we just save, or maybe the device saved it for us? No. It's going to remember as long as this device is on. But when this turns off, you turn it off, it's going to forget that pattern. So you need to save it. I'm going to go to Shift. We are on the pattern that we want to save. Of course, I'm going to hold the Shift, and right here it says Write. I'm going to do Write. I'm going to just press it, and then it's going to ask you Exit, and then Enter. And right here, you have 2 options. It says Pattern, and then it says All. So when you select the pattern, it's going to save the pattern that you had selected. And if we have the pattern number 3 and then 1, which is the one we just did, when we do Shift and we do Shift and Right, I'm going to be doing Enter. That will store that pattern alone. But maybe you created a lot of different patterns. That's why you have the Save All. When you do this, you're going to save all the patterns that you created that you didn't save. All right, so we are pretty much done. I want to show you some of the options that we get on the menu. One thing I forgot to show you is the shuffle, but I guess that this is super obvious. If you're playing a pattern, you can go to Shift and then go to Shuffle, and this will, shuffle it. If I go up, you can hear the shuffle. And you can go into negatives, which is fine. Same thing the other way. Now what I want to do now, I want to show you, let me stop it first, go exit. When you're on the main screen and you go to menu, you have a million different options. So let me show you what they mean. And okay, so when you are on the main screen, if you do shift and you go to menu, you can have a lot of options. So the first one is going to be volume, right? I'm going to go all the way down and it's volume. So to enter to the volume settings, you press enter. So this is the volume of the pattern. If I go up, you're going to make it louder, or you can go down in volume. Why do you get this option? Well, you have a lot of patterns and you can cue different patterns, and maybe they all have different volumes, right? So this is your master volume, and right here, this option is the volume of the pattern. So if you're playing pattern number 1 and it's super low in volume, then you adjust it right here. And if you go to the pattern number 2 and it's super loud, then you go to the menu and you adjust the volume of the pattern, right? So this is a per pattern type of deal. I'm going to go back to 100. I'm going to go back to menu, and the second option is going to be tran, and this is the transpose. If I play it and go to enter, this is going to transpose the sequence. And you can, of course, go into negatives, go down. All right, so I guess this is obvious. I'm going to go out, and then I'm going to go to the next option. And this one is going to be, let me just stop it. It's going to be the desync. So maybe you're thinking this is a syncing type of deal. Yes, but it's going to be for the delay. If I enter right here, it's going to be on by default, which is, the delay time. It's going to sync with whatever tempo that you have. But you can just, turn it off, and now you're disabling the sync of the delay. The next option is going to be beat. If I enter, notice that we have 4, we can do 8, or we can go lower. So this is what we did before when we are, on the main screen, when we can hold the pattern and move this knob. So what we are doing right now is the shortcut for the same function. I'm going to shift and then do menu. That's what the beat is all about. I'm going to go to the next one. And this one is ULO. Well, no, this is A and then velocity. Let me just go to a different pattern. I'm going to go to the pattern. And this is something that you have on your device. It comes, there from factory. I'm going to go to the bank number 2 and the preset number 1. So the pattern number 1. If I play it back, we can hear that we have a lot of accents. Going to shift, menu, I'm going to go there. And by default, it's 127. But if we keep going down, it's going to reduce the accents. So now it's just, less aggressive, let's say. So this is what, this option does. And this depends on whatever the pattern or whatever, variation in style that you're using. I'm going to do shift in the menu and go to the next one. And you have a weird combination of letters. This is pattern and then change. So this one, if I enter, is going to decide how long will it take for the pattern to cue to the next one. If it's step, it's going to be, 1 step. It's going to wait for 1 step. Or if you do more, it's going to, do more. Right, so I guess I don't need to show you. And this is, again, when you cue in new patterns. Just move forward. So this is sync and then clock. Of course, this is how you sync it to whatever it is that you're using. If you are syncing it, if I go here, it's going to be the channel, the MIDI channel where this outputs data. By default, it is the number 1. And right now we are entering into pretty much all the options that any type of device gives you. The sync, the MIDI channel, and the so on and so on. If I keep moving forward, it's going to be the sync. This is the MIDI clock sync. I'm going to go to through. This is whenever you want the MIDI to be through or not. This one is the TX, and I know that the the letters are a little bit weird. It's TX program change is the program change, and the other one is the RX program change. The next one is the program change channel, right? Right here, you can select the channel is the 16. Then you have the velocity of the keys or the keyboard. If you enter, it's going to be 100, but you can change that. And if I keep going down, it's going to be the master tuning. You can, set it to 440 or maybe something else. Keep going down. USB-D is the USB direct out. So when you're using this is the signal output when you're using USB. So if I enter off, means that whatever value that you have right here, whatever volume that you're doing, is going to be the main volume. But if you have the USB, you can, have a different volume. If I keep going down, you have the IRA link. This is for Roland devices. You can just turn it off or turn it on. Keep going down. This we already talked about this one. This is the count in, how many times the play is gonna blink. And I guess we have a couple more. We have a copy. So how it works right here, I'm gonna go maybe to, I don't know, let me just get out and go to the bank number 3 and the preset number 1, the pattern number 1. We have our pattern, if you remember. I'm gonna go back to the menu. Now I want to copy that pattern, the one that we created, and we want to paste it someplace else. So by staying on the copy and pressing enter, it will copy that pattern. So it's already copied. And right here, it's asking you to select the destination. So this button is like a copy paste. So I'm going to be pasting our pattern on, 3, and then, 3, say. When I press it, it's going to say done. And if I go to the patterns and go to the to the bank number 3, we can see that we have that information. We can go to the 3, and if I play it back, it's going to be our pattern. So this is how you can copy and paste patterns. Let's go, let me stop it and go to the menu. The next option is going to be init. We already talked about this. By triggering the init, we are going back to a default patch. All right. So those are all the options. I know this was a little bit too boring, but it's something that, it's something that you need to learn or know that you have these options right here. All of this is in the manual, but if you never opened the manual, how could you know? So, okay, so we are done with this on this video. If you liked all of this and you learned something new, please like and subscribe. This channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on and making videos, you can. You have links in the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon.